In today's edition, we are discussing the topic of the meaning of ownership and the different levels that it can mean.
Yeah, and we're not exactly talking about owning a car or a house. It's more of the people believing that they own people either physically or energetically.
But there are also different versions of ownership, like owning the car and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which I feel is also very important to discuss as well.
Yeah.
So that's why it's the different levels of ownership too.
Yeah, this is Alison's baby. She's been really processing and working through a lot of this stuff, so we wanted to talk about it and see if we give people some ideas and understandings about ownership.
Well, if it doesn't work out, we don't have to.
Yeah, but we'll just go with it, baby. And welcome back. Welcome back, everyone, to another show. It's going to be a doozy today. We have no understanding how we're going to communicate this effectively, but we will give it a good go.
Yeah, we will give it a good go.
So what is it that you want to share with everyone?
That no one owns you.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. That's all I got.
That's a quick podcast, everyone.
That's all I got, that no one owns you.
Well, I guess you could say that, because we're doing some past life stuff where I had a client and she had issues with her family believing that she's owned. They own her. More so energetically. And she wants to be an independent person and wants to just be free and just have her own feelings and her own life. But the family wants... pretty much at the hidden agenda with the family with her is they want her to look after her, and at the same time when I was doing the healing on her, they were feeding off her life force and manipulating her to such a degree where it was not good for her mental state, and she didn't really understand too much, but until the healing came through and the past lives came through, so she then was able to put the puzzles or the pieces back together, and now she's working through letting herself go or be free with all the shackles, energetic shackles, and all the restraints, and if she didn't do as her told, she was going to get punished, and she was getting a lot of streaming and a lot of bullshit stuff from her family about trying to be her independent, sovereign self. So that's been a really big one for her to sort of, and I think she was saying she's been dealing with this for many, many years, and now it's time for her to break away from that, and it's the energies to be, it might be the family, yeah, but it might be the energies behind that as well, that are using her, not using her, but using the family to keep her shackled and keep her a prisoner, because she feels like she's a prisoner. And so there's a lot of that being playing out, and she's working very hard on herself. So what is it, when I talk about that with that client, how does that resonate with you, and what's your perception on that?
Well, my perception on that is that it can be hard, especially when it comes to a family, wanting to take care of your family, wanting to be there for your family. It can be challenging for a person of trying to understand that maybe what the family members are doing is actually not good. It's not nice. And the family members, even though they're probably not conscious of what they're actually doing.
And on the physical arena, there's not really anything happening.
No, yeah. So if if on the physical arena it's all nice and helping, and it's all mainly energetic stuff, it can be hard for a person to separate themselves from that, especially when there's no physical proof of it either.
Because you can't go to, say, somebody or the family or whoever it is. This is what you're doing behind the scenes. This is what you're doing energetically. I know you're doing it, but
yeah, it's very it'll be a very challenging thing to do.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Because they'll be like, but we haven't done anything to you.
Yeah.
All we've done is support you. But it's like, well, no, you haven't. There's no proof. You can't. It's hard to prove that when there's no physical thing happening for that to show through. All you can go on, all the person can go on, is just what has been shown, what has been done in a healing. And I guess in a way try to resolve that within themselves, but still somehow play the game and not lose who they truly are by playing the game.
Yeah, and it's sad that you have to play the game. Yeah, that's the That's the big thing.
Mm.
And it's really hard to say, because I said to you when this comment came up, I said to you, I had a mate a long time ago that actually divorced his parents.
Yeah.
It was all over the current affair, and because I was with another friend, and he goes, oh, I'm going to introduce you to my mate. We'll just go for a drive and just hang out. It's like, yeah, cool. And then I saw him. I said, I've seen you on the news. You divorced your parents. And he goes, yeah. And looking at it now, yes, he divorced his parents and that was legal. But looking at it now, the energetics was that he was still connected and the hoo-ha was still playing out. And he went back to his family many, many years later as he got older. So, yes, he can divorce or cut the ties physically, but with him, he was still connected energetically, and the game was still playing out energetically.
So then how can you disconnect from those energetically when it's a lot easier to disconnect from people on a physical level, but on an energetic level, because everything is either a thought form or a thought stream or possibly a feeling and everything along those lines. The only way for a person to really be separated is for both parties to actually walk away. If one party walks away and the other one doesn't want to walk away, physically on a level that's different. One person walks away, the other person stays where they are and they never see each other again. But on an energetic level, if one person walks away and the other one doesn't want to walk away, they're still in the memory banks of the person who doesn't want to walk away. And so therefore that person is still trying to energetically connect and possibly, who knows, do what to that person purely just to get them back. So the question would be is how can you disconnect energetically? And if you can't, how does that person deal with that, with all the shackles or all the arrows being pointed at them and all the games being pointed at them just to try and get them back energetically?
Yeah. It's a hard one because I've talked to a lot of people who don't see their parents much, especially at this job. There's a lot of people who are coming from Malaysia and overseas, and they probably miss home. They probably, some of them, yeah, I miss home. Some of them, no. I think it also their connection with, say, it's use the parents for example, the mum and dad. That if you don't have a good, strong relationship with them anyway, it's probably easier to let go. And I'll bring my personal stuff into this because I don't care. So I had to pretty much let my father go. And you've been on that journey with me. And my brother as well. I had to let him go. One, physically, they're not up to or not very nice people in my eyes. Energetically, there was too many contracts and stuff being written up to pretty much write me off and suppress me and just do me over financially. And there was a lot of galactic arena in that mix as well. So as I said to you, you were around the time where I needed some help, and he's like, sorry, I can't help you, mate, good luck for the future. And I needed a home and I needed some support, and that was the moment where I was able to say pretty much done and didn't want to be connected or manipulated on levels to suit him, because at the end of the day I just needed my dad, and I was happy. I needed my dad because you want your parents to support you if you need it and vice versa. But he wasn't there for that. He was always there for the whatever he was getting out of it, the power, the greed, the gain. But I was able to do so. But I've known that since I was coming to this incarnation that I was going to have to delete's probably not a positive word, but let go of that relationship, which wasn't serving my higher purpose. It was really there to suppress me. And if you go back to the client we're talking about, she's in a way the same arena as well, but it's a little bit harder because it's a little bit more complicated in different ways. And to answer the question that you said, it's an individual case, and it's not always as easy to do that when the other person is always, you let go, you cut cords, and they reconnect. And that's the Chiron healing that I do, where you think of somebody, you instantly connected. Yeah. So you can cut all the cords you want, and that might work for a time, but as soon as that feeling or they think of you or all that sort of thing on different levels, they reconnect back again.
So kind of what you're saying is the only way for people to let go of each other is for both parties to walk away.
Mutual.
So for example, like your father, you're ready to let go of him, and because of the life that he was leading, was very willing to let go of you.
Yeah, because he thought that my brother and I were hindrances anyway, and he didn't want kids as well. So I did him a favour in many, many ways.
So I guess that was easier because both of you have gone, okay, well, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah. He's like, you're a dickhead, and I'm like, you're a dickhead.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of work and a lot of class work on myself with that relationship, and it's just like, I'm gonna love you from afar. You are where you're at, and vice versa for me. But it's like a toxic, energetic relationship on many levels, and I had to like, I was hard, but I had to for my own self-care.
But the difference is he's willing to let go too.
That's the thing.
I think that's the key.
So this client, because it was pretty much her parents, they eventually want her to take care of her, for her to take care of them and be at their beck and call and all her needs and stuff like that. And she knows or desires her own life and not always jump to attention and stuff like that. And there's so many other levels going on with that as well. So she's trying to get her head around that. And I've actually encountered, not just her, but there's been quite a few people, especially relationships. Like, you're in a partnership with somebody, one party wants to let go and the other one doesn't, and you've got all that going on. It's very similar in many ways. It is,
because everything is a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or a family relationship,
or a friendship.
It's all a relationship.
Yep. And my understanding about marriage, because we're not married,
no,
and we've done that for
a reasons.
So on my side, for me, I learnt that when you get married, there's an actual marriage archetype that comes into the relationship. And that archetypal program is there to pretty much tie the two people up in it can be a beautiful entanglement, but usually it's in a control entanglement, where the archetype goes, well, the man has now the power over the female has no power. And that's where, if you heard of, well, I don't know about you, but for me, a lot of people get married and they go, it's changed. Something's changed within the relationship. Now we're married, it's not the same anymore. I believe that's the archetype that becomes manifested within the marriage to say, well, these are the new rules now. The woman is now chained and shackled to the man. The man has all the power. What he says goes, and that's why it shifts. And then there becomes resentment, and because what do they say, to death to us part?
Yeah, to death do you part.
Or something, and it's like you got to stay together forever because you've now done this ceremony. Where with you and I, we're always choosing to be together. It's like, I don't own you, you don't own me. But in a marriage, it's like you've signed this contract for ownership. It's like you both own each other, and that's not how it should be. That's my perception.
Well, no relationship should have any kind of ownership over it anyway.
No.
It should be more of a mutual agreement than an ownership. But some people can't help but want to own someone else.
Yeah. For power or for whatever. Control.
I feel like some of it is for being insecure within themselves. Maybe they can't control themselves, or they in their own childhood felt insecure and insignificant from their own parents or from their family members, and so the only way that they could feel like they're in power is to control someone else. Yeah, I've had a lot of bosses like that. If they've got no personal power within their personal lives or their home or their wife or husband, and they're powerless, and they've got a power job, they will really, really use that power, and even to a point where manipulate, I don't know the words manipulate, but soak up the power that they don't have within
within their own personal lives.
Yeah.
Because they've been maybe powerless their whole lives.
Yeah, that's what I feel like it comes down to that somewhere in their own personal life, and usually comes from childhood, where they feel like they are not in control of their own childhood, that then they will try and control someone else.
Yeah. Or their parents have done it hard, or they've come from a hard family life.
Yeah. So with your client, because I don't know all the details of your client, could it be, let's talk theory wise, that there's a possibility that on an energetic level this client is being controlled, or the person feels like they have a right to control your client, but this is all energetic, so nothing is happening on the physical?
Not really.
So then
her family's like pretty much want her to jump to command, and it's like that sort of thing. It's like they're a bit demanding, and yeah, it's a hard one. Really, yeah, it's a hard one for her.
Because we can't really talk much, we can't give too many details because it is a client and you are the healer. So there's some details, that you can't actually always, but talking on speculation, it could be, it could come down to on an energetic level. I mean, this could be a past life thing. Yeah. That that the parents feel like they own their child purely from a past life thing.
You discuss what you want to discuss.
Okay, well, what I want to discuss is that no one has a right to own anyone. There are different forms of ownership. We discussed this previously before. When it comes to humans, our history is not even built, but our history comes from the form of having slaves. Slave labor, ownership of this person. And it's wrong on every single level, but at the same time, there's different forms of ownership, like owning your car, owning your house.
Yeah.
So for me, what I want to bring to the party here is you got to realize that you can't own anyone. That ownership is a falsity. However, saying that with everything that's happening in the world and this government, whatever government is saying you'll own nothing and be happy, if you don't own your house and you don't own your car and you don't own yourself, then they're saying that, well, they're pretty much saying if we don't like you, we're just going to take everything away from you because you don't own it. But when it comes to your personal life, no friend or parent or sibling or government or employer should feel and think that they can own an individual. That's what I have to say.
Okay, that's great.
It took me a while, but that's what I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with the house and all that sort of jazz, I was told the other day that they can collect your house and do something with the house if you don't, even if you do own it. So It's getting to a level where we don't care.
Oh, really?
We're the government. We can do what we want. And that's with all the new laws and the new AI stuff and new digital currency and all that stuff. It's all going to be set up so pretty much you are owned.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you are owned, and if you don't do as you're told, little Jenny, we're going to close down your bank account.
And that's the thing.
Your piggy bank. We're going to take your piggy bank away from you.
That's the thing as well. It really has turned into the government has turned into some kind of horrible parent.
Yeah. And everybody chooses to elect the same governments because that's the agenda that always needs to play out. So on that level, the governments and everything can dictate, and because we've discussed this before on other podcasts, they are representation of the parent figure. Even though we pay them to be the guardians and to help look after the planet or the country or the state, because you need that sort of entity to help manage that.
Well, yeah, when it comes to a government, you elect a government so that they can be the caretakers.
Yeah, caretaker. Yeah.
Of the land, kind of in a way that they're in a position to go, well, okay, this garden needs pruning. We need to sort that out. Yeah. Pretty much. But yeah, I have a thing when it comes to wanting to own a person. Yeah, which goes down to bully a person.
Well, if what they say is true, whatever it was, Anunnaki or Elohim created man to be a slave to, get their gold, to power their ships, and
because in a way they're so too fucking fucking lazy to do it themselves.
Well, if you can create, pod babies and program them, I know you're laughing, but to program them to be a certain way, to do a certain task.
But again, fucking lazy to do it themselves.
Well, maybe they did do it themselves and they just got, well, this is going to take too long. We need to create some pod humans and get them, program them and get them to do our bidding for us. Hang on.
Okay.
And isn't that what's happening with AI? This turnaround with, you're going to have a sex robot, you're going to have a robot that looks after your finances, you're going to have another robot to clean your house. It's, in many ways, not so different.
But then what gives a person the right to think that they can own another person?
Well, it would be the level of, well, first of all, I've got the money to buy you, pay for you.
Okay, all right.
As well, on that level.
But let's look at from history where they captured people and then sold them. How does that play out? How does that work? I mean, it's very different to this day and age, except for probably the trafficking that does actually happen. But how does that work? If you capture a person, you're like, okay, I'm going to sell you now. Like, that doesn't, I don't get that. How can you own a person that is technically free that was captured?
Yeah, I don't know how it works. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work.
But that's what's been happening for millennia.
Well, then,
yeah. And what about the parent that has children to be, like, the agenda of the parent is, I'm going to have children.
So that they can be looked after.
And you have children to look after you when you're older.
Yeah.
So you just, it's sort of it's still a pod baby, but it's a more organic version of it. Have children so they can do the work for you and look after you and do their bidding. And
instead of having a child that you want to actually take care of because you want to enjoy the experiences, the agenda is to produce a child so that the child can look after you. So technically, you're just having a child to be a slave.
Yeah. So you're probably better off. Geez, I feel like I'm giving robots a bad thing at the moment. You're probably better off getting a robot to do that for you. You can't do that now, but next year you'll probably be able to.
Well, I guess, back in history, the robots weren't really around for, these parents had no choice but to probably go, oh, well, we need slaves. What better way to have children?
Yeah, and they did say that. Someone was saying the other day also that, back like when the days of big families and having farms, I mean, they had big families. So
that they could look after the farm.
Bigger family, bigger tribe, create the abundance together. I don't think they would have thought.
But that's slightly different. Like, if they have a bigger bigger family, and they've shown the children, like, this is our land, and taught the children, okay, it's good, we're going to dig to create food. We're going to plant some carrots and things along those lines. It's very different to, a parent saying to a child, I bore you, I can do whatever I want with you. Yeah, it's a very different thing.
Yeah, I'm here to raise a slave program because they say 0 to 7, what's the saying? You give me the boy, I will give you the man. Yeah. Along those lines.
Something like that.
So the programming, the big programming, foundation programming is from 0 to 7. So if you can put that kid through hell, trauma, or whatever you want it to be, it's like a clean canvas. You can program, do whatever you want, put fear into it, control it, and it will continue to follow that program or that script for its entire life. Unless you wake up one day and go, hang on a minute, something not right here, or you meet a person that wakes you up and you go, well, that's you're in the blue pill, you want to have the red pill, take the red pill, your life changed forever, and all the stuff that needs to be worked through gets worked through, and that's where also evolution happens as well.
Well, I guess again, the underlying current is all about evolution.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to share with people that no one owns you.
Well, it's the same as having, you got your puppy dog and you got it on a leash and, You know, oh,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, there's, yeah, that's why I struggle with, you know, seeing a bird in a cage or a dog on a leash or a goldfish in a bowl or, yeah, that's just my stuff. Yeah, I like everything being free because then you can choose to be friends or,
Yeah,
you know,
it's about being friends again. Yeah.
Choice, having the choice to make your own choices. You know, it's like if you want to help your friend, you want to help your friend. If you help, you know, you want to do everything for your parents and you choose to, and it brings your heart joy, then that's awesome. It's a complex game.
It's a very complex
We
game.
are here to experience. We all have our different experiences and different things we need to learn. And it's just the way it is. And it's how we perceptualize it, understand it, and I guess not get too caught up in the, which is easier said than done, the drama of it all as well. Another thing we were talking about the other day was one of the Merlin movies.
Oh yes, that's right.
And then you know, because Morgana's the big archetype of, you know, the witch, and she's just using her power, wants to manipulate, control, and own and stuff like that. And they're in the must have been Camelot, and she walked through the big doors, and the people and Merlin people in the castle were there, and he just said as she's walking up and she's trying to do her magic and stuff like that, he said to the people, just turn your back on Morgana, don't give her any energy, give her nothing. And because I didn't feed her anymore, because she was feeding off their fear and everything like that, she pretty much disappeared, lost her mind for a bit. Look at me, give me energy and stuff like that. But she vanished pretty much because there was no longer any energy given to her.
So in a way, what you're saying, in order to move on from people who are controlling you, if you can, is kind of on a symbology level, turn your back on them and just go move on, live your own life.
If you can, don't feed the energy that they're trying needing. Try to keep as much energy away from them as possible. It's getting thoughts and feelings, anger, frustration, rage. It's like if you can keep yourself, I guess that's the neutral thing again on a level. Don't, even though they're going to try to do stuff to trigger you, if you can somehow just disconnect your feelings and your thought energy bit by bit.
Which is interesting. So leaving from the topic of what we discussed before about AI and AI needing to evolve, and the only way for it to evolve is through feeling, to this topic now where in a way we're saying don't feed into, maybe it's more about don't disconnect from your feeling, but don't feed into the fear, and don't be played through your heartstrings. So it's almost like being neutral, but still having your feeling. Don't have your emotions be played.
Yeah, triggered.
Yeah.
Yeah, anger, fear, rage. They're the big.
They're probably the ones that you don't want to have triggered. And if they are triggered, they're the ones where you're going to have to step away. Yeah,
because that's what we call the loosh energy. And that's what a lot of entities feed from as well. I mean, you've been with people where who have got vampire energy and they're just harvesting the crap out of you. I mean, you've experienced that with me, and you fell asleep because, you know, somebody was drained you to a point where you were falling asleep.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, my parents do that as well. You know, but I think also, I feel everyone does it on a level.
Yeah.
You know,
especially if you're sick or tired.
Yeah.
You can do that without knowing it.
Yeah. You know, there are times when I have been under the weather and I can feel myself grabbing for you because I just want you to, you know, I just want to hug, but on a level I realize that I'm wanting a bit of your energy so that I could feel better. And once I picked that up, it's like, no, I need to be able, I have to do this on my own. But I think it's just, you can't help it when you're sick, because you're just wanting someone to take care of you, really.
Unless you're both sick at the same time.
Oh, well, then that's...
Like, oh, bugger, I can't take any of that energy.
We're like...
Oh, bugger, I can't take any of that energy.
We're trying to grab...
There's no energy here to grab.
But yeah, because I have heard that people, especially when they're in hospitals, they don't even realise that they're doing it, because it's on a subconscious level. And they just keep, am I pulling your energy, baby?
No, I think we're clearing stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, people who are in hospitals, they can't help it because of a fear of being sick or whatever condition or situation that they're in. They can't help but pull energy from other people. Yeah,
being a nurse or a doctor, not fun.
Yeah, no wonder they're tired all the time, having to work so many hours, but then having all that energy drained from them too. On an energetic level, how does that work out if there's chains and shackles on? But then I guess that comes back down to all the different, maybe past lives, and the things that we have done in past lives, whatever we've agreed to in parallel lives, somehow playing out in this life now. Yeah, it's all very entangled.
Yeah, it can be. And with the energetic shackles and chains and stuff like that, unless you're a healer, unless you're psychic and you have an understanding or consciousness of that, you won't have a clue that's what's going on.
No.
And as far as everybody is concerned listening to this right now, we're just talking crap. It's like, what the F you talking about shackles and this and that energetically and being held back by, family and stuff like that.
But it does happen.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Yeah, it does. We're just really lucky that we have the ability to be able to do and clear that. And that's why I have clients, because clients need a lot of that all the time. And sometimes I'm just getting you, because sometimes it could be you go through life and you just feel like it's just not moving. No matter what you do, it just doesn't feel like it's moving forward. And there's a possibility that there might be a shackle to stop that person from moving in whatever direction, or just moving ahead. Yeah, sometimes it can be that, yeah.
Yeah, and it could be from a family member or a friend or another life kind of thing.
Timelines, yeah. Yep.
So it is all very intertwined, but that's probably one example. If a person feels like no matter what they're doing, they just don't seem to be moving forward.
There's something going on.
Yeah, definitely something going on.
And it might be, because I'm going to put this out there. So, and I've said this before, and I've said this to clients, this physical reality right now, in this moment in time, in this room, everything's rosy. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of other stuff playing out. We just can't see it or know about it.
That's exactly it.
So, and that's where all the big hoo-ha is, really. It happens on the energetics first, behind the scenes, backstage, and then, it manifests here.
But saying that, sometimes it doesn't always manifest. Like I said, it happens.
No.
For the person who feels like they're in control in their mind. But that doesn't always play out in the physical arena.
No, it doesn't.
No. So I guess in a way that person really doesn't have control.
No. But they can let their guard down, let something slip.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I keep on getting, I would hate to be an only child with needy parents. So any of you out there who have needy parents and you're the only one and you are there to rescue, save and hold up until they are passed over in the spirit realm, I really feel for you guys. That's a heavy burden to carry. I can understand why you all want to run for the hills. Yep, we're going to Malaysia to live.
Yeah, because you're the only one that's carrying the load, really.
Yeah, and you're expected to carry a load because you're being born into carrying the load. Yeah, no thanks, I'm good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, here's a wheelbarrow. Go and carry your own load.
Yeah.
So ownership on this level that we are talking about, not beneficial.
No.
Again, a perception that we both have. To clear it and to understand it is another level. Stay true to you. The best you can. We need to stay true to ourselves best we can, because it is a perception thing. Because everything you're thinking, feeling and understanding, the clarity you have, the other person might have something completely different.
And also what I'm getting is just don't believe the other person's story either. Because the minute you believe the other person's story is kind of when you fall prey to that too. You fall to that.
There's a lot of people who manipulate and who are manipulators and game players big time, and they prey on the weak. If you're weak-minded and weak-willed and you're weak, you are an easy prey. You really are. Yeah, much so. So maybe for those who are working through this, need to learn how to be a little bit more stronger, not take things so much personally, and step more into their power, their strength, and their authentic selves, and
pretty much what is right for them.
Yeah, well, it can only do what's right for you. It's your journey, your pathway. It's an individual game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see if I got anybody who wants to say anything quickly. Is there anything to say? Yes, it is an individual game, and yes, it is about perception, and yes, it is about reincarnation, past lives, entanglement, tapestry. You are all more connected than you ever think, and there's always been many, many power games going on within your collective, galactically, everywhere. You could say part of the game is a power game, and it is up to you all to step into your sovereignty, set your boundaries strong, know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, play with those that want to play nicely with you, and with your parents, unfortunately, or family. This is another level to be worked through, and it's up to you, as we will say again and again. It is okay to say no physically and energetically. And we would like to say this: if they don't stop, punch them in the face.
Was that for my benefit? If you haven't heard a previous podcast, they have mentioned about punching people in the face on a more jokingly manner.
And yes, we don't say this to do this. We are just being playful because it made Alison laugh hysterically. Know yourselves, as we always say. Know yourselves. Take back your personal power. Step out of the child, because at times your inner child, the child aspect of self, the one that needs to be held and loved and protected, that is your job to do so, not anybody else's. This is important. Reclaim back you, reclaim back your power, your boundaries. Do what's right for you. We will keep repeating this again like a broken record. And know that you are worthy. You are worthy to choose for yourselves. Especially when it comes with your family and your friends and your loved ones. You have every right to say no or yes. You have every right to set a boundary. Or boundaries. And just when it's done, it's done. And you allow them to work out what they need to do for themselves. Jayson has used mirrors, energetic mirrors facing outwards, having the intention of reflecting back that negative energy back to the person, or energy that's sending it his way. You could try this. This can be helpful at times. But what it comes down to, knowing that you are worthy of being strong, powerful, and know this. Feel this. Expand this within yourself, because it is an individual game, and all the rules are different for everyone as well. And perception is very, very different for everyone, because everybody's learning, everybody's trauma, everybody's pain is different. So you could also respect and honour that as well, even though they can't do that with you. But if you have this knowledge and wisdom, in a way you do know better. Any questions, Alison?
I don't, actually.
We are happy that you have nothing more to say, which is not like you.
Well, I guess because you have... okay.
From this conversation, do you feel more empowered?
Yes, I do feel more empowered because I guess on a level, a lot of people feel like they don't have the right to say no sometimes. I think that's mainly, and that's a very good point for people to understand, that they have the right to say no. No matter how hard it may feel or seem, because they feel like they're going to let everyone else down. They have the right to say no.
So you feel that you have no right to say no or let people down?
I guess that's probably why it's hard for people to say no, because of all the weight that they carry in order to say yes.
Yes, expectation.
Yeah. So, good point to take away is everyone has a right to say no, no matter how hard it may feel.
And nobody has a right to expect either.
No, but that doesn't stop them from doing it.
No, not at all. And that's their game, their learning, their understanding, their perception. You can choose. Sometimes it's to say this, to choose, you can walk away, but it's not as easy as that.
Well, especially if everything's happening energetically and it's all nice on the physical, it's harder to walk away.
Yeah, and the more insight you have in the backstage, behind the scenes, the easier it is to untangle and to clear up. Yes.
I think the good point is that everyone knows that they have a right to say no.
So I'm just getting this client just goes in deep and just sets boundaries to say no more, and anything that comes my way, just maybe try, but just have the intention of bouncing off and not getting triggered with that. Which is, again, when you're in it, it's a lot more harder than not. But it might take practice. I don't know.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, it'll take practice, especially on how triggering it can be, depending on like how much of a trigger what is happening. But at the same time, I feel like also having an understanding, like you just said, it might be easier for it to bounce off.
Yes, I used to have my father come into my head quite a bit. And when he came up in my head, telling me off or whatever, just being a jerk off, I just say, go away, moron. And I just keep repeating that. He went away because he didn't like being called a moron. That's how I dealt with it. Right or wrong, but that's how I dealt with it in that time.
And I'm remembering, because I said to you last night, I watched a little bit of Teal Swan, and she was talking about the blue lotus flower and how it awakens the intuition. But what was really important was being able to see things from an objective point of view. So realistic. So you're not really taking everything personally. Even, again, depends on how much you get triggered emotionally by what's happening. If you can be objective or be the third person watching, then you kind of bypass the pain. But if you're meant to be triggered, I guess you're meant to be triggered so that you can work through the emotion of being triggered as well. Yeah. Yeah,
it depends on the level of trauma. Yeah. Well, I hope this has sort of given some support and help to somebody out there. Because when we decide to do the topic, it's like, how are we going to explain this? How are we going to, how's it going to be beneficial? But again, we're just having a conversation, just sharing. And I'd like people who listen to this, who are going through maybe something similar, just help them know that they are strong, they are powerful, and you can say no. And
you can say no.
And if you have opportunity just alone to move on, and you choose to move on, then it's okay to do that.
Not alone.
Yeah, self-preservation. It's important. And it's okay to create a better life. For yourself, and live and enjoy in harmony and whatever you choose. Now we're talking. Okay, so I'll see if there's anything. I wouldn't say anything in the message. Well said, Jayson. Step into your personal power. create what you want to create. Bugger everyone else. Because it's your game, it's your life, it's for you to create for you. And if you can create people who are on the same pathway, the same page as you, and you can walk in harmony together, that's what it's really about. Not always being in trauma or hardship or despair or sadness. Any of that, if that's something that you continue to choose to be part of that, that's your thing to do. But if you choose something else, you can also choose that too. At the end of the day, it is your choice to do so. Thank you for having us again. Send you lots of love and blessings, light and knowledge.
Oh, I was going to ask a question.
To you all. And of course, Alison wants to ask us a question before we go.
Because I had a question come up.
Shoot, fire away.
Okay. My question is, so for example, the parent who feels like they own the children or own the child, how do you get that to change? Or because it's all done on an energetic level, can that actually change? And if not, is it up to, I guess, the child to just continue on with their lives?
So the parent would have that pattern within them because that's where the parent or the mother or the father has felt that they've been in the same situation. They're pretty much just sharing what they know, their understanding onto their offspring. So if they don't know any better and they think that's normal, then they just simply pass it on to the next generation. So it's up to that generation or that child as they grow up to say no more.
Okay. So if the child doesn't want to be a part of that, then it's like up to the child to say no more. You can't really, I mean, you can try to change the parent's perspective.
It's not your job to change their perception.
But it's not really, it may not change at all.
No, that's where they're at. We're not saying that a child has the ability to do that. It's when the child grows up to be the adult. That adult then can say and set boundaries with the parents. The parents were not like this because you could say that the child or the adult that used to be the child is going against the grain of the family script. And that usually is what is meant to be happening. Sharing or showing the parents, the family tribe, there's a different way of doing things. Is this making more sense now?
Yeah.
So let's say it's you, Alison, for example. You were here to be the rub, to share and show a different way of being. Not about ownership, slavery, dictatorship. You are here to show that you are all free, all choosing to be and expressing love with each other as a family unit, not in a state of ownership or slavery. There are many families that are doing this and will continue to do so. But there are some individuals who have come into this game in their incarnation cycle to help show and share a different way of doing things. A different level of love consciousness, of respect and harmony and honour of each other within the family script.
Makes sense. And thank you for being patient with me.
As always. Well, thank you for having us here once again, and we look forward to chatting with you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. There you go.
That was the family rub was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think of that one. So, let's just say higher consciousness beings come into the family script to share or show a different way of being, and that family's going to say that they're a rub because they're not the same, they're different. And so that's why it would be hard. And that's why maybe there's a fight going on physically or energetically. The parents are like, well, we don't understand that. We actually don't understand what love is on a whole different level or feeling. We only know this. And it's like an alien coming to the family. It's like, okay. And so the family can choose to evolve or not.
Yeah.
Or the parents or whatever.
Yeah. And I know I'm going to use one of my examples in the dream that I told you about on multiple occasions, where it was me and my parents and another person, and I was the only one that stepped forward because we were all at a crossroads.
Oh, I remember telling about this.
And we're all in the center of the crossroad. And one parent stepped to one side, one parent stepped to the other side, the other person stepped backwards, and I was the only one that stepped forward. And that's for everyone. It's symbolic for everyone that you can't take people with you.
No.
It's your own journey, and you can't force them to come with you, and they can't. Well, they can try to force you to stay with them, but eventually it's almost like you're going to be a cat and claw your way out of it, and it's going to cause a lot of friction. That's all I got.
Okay, short and sweet today, love. I'll just keep on waiting patiently.
Well, yeah, so that was my dream. You can't force people to go with you. You can't force people to stay with you, even no matter how much it hurts. Yeah,
yeah, if one person's moving one way and the other person's moving another way, unless you're moving in the same direction, it is what it is.
Yeah. So you can't carry your parents, and you can't carry family members.
And they can't carry you either.
No, they can't carry you either. When you're a child, it's very different because you're a child. You need people to take care of you and, show you the way of the world.
Yeah.
Until you're able to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in return, I do understand that, parents do get older, and that's why, the children look after parents. But it's a very different story. It's a very different line and story between, parents getting older and children looking after them, and then parents expecting children to look after them. That's a very different line.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was somebody I was talking about the other day, and she's looking after her mother. She's put her life on hold. Mother's not well, got stuff going on, and she's just like, that's it. Her job is to look after her mother for the rest of her life, and she has no life, nothing. Sad, unhappy, angry.
Yeah.
And was that a contract signed beforehand?
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, was it a deal done? Yes, I'll look after you because maybe she got looked after. You just don't know.
No, you don't know. And one of the things that I'm going to bring up on a personal level that I've been going through is that sometimes when I need some kind of advice, I like to talk to myself as though I'm the third person. And one of the things that I came back to myself, information was, so sometimes you might have to break a promise. No matter how bad you feel, you might have to just break that promise and say, I can't fulfill that anymore.
Yeah, because I got asked to do a promise in a dream state astral, looking after a certain person, and I got told that. I was like, don't I need to make it here first? It's like I felt like I got a bit manipulated. You know what I mean?
It's like you've been violated in a way.
But that's the astral, and that's a different level. What about so you're saying I've got to look after this particular person because I said yes in the astral, in the dream state. It's like, I'm not happy with that.
So that really opened my eyes and gave me, I feel like I gave myself the permission, because sometimes we feel like we can't break a promise, and as soon as we make a promise we have to keep it. Yeah,
and I've learnt that.
And even though the promise may not be in alignment with the person anymore, you still feel obligated to carry it out. Whereas now it's like you may need to give yourself permission to break it if it's not in alignment with you anymore.
And I'm getting shown movies where they have like people dying on the bed and they're like, son, promise me you'll look after your mother.
Yeah.
It's my last dying wish. Promise me you'll look after your mother. And, most of the time in the movie, the people are agreeing to it. And they're like, I don't want to, but it's like he's dying. I feel bad.
It's like you've been manipulated to agree to this now.
Yeah, and that's such a big... Because I've been asked, Jayson, you'll promise that you'll do this, and this. And I'm like, I'm not going to promise you squat. I will do my best, but I ain't doing a verbal contract to say I'm going to fulfill that wish. Especially if it's going to bullshit me over.
Exactly. It's like, look, I'm not promising you anything.
Way.
I will...
You do your best and see how...
do my best to do that. However, I am
guarantees.
I am not agreeing to that.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Careful out there, everyone.
Be careful. If someone does that to you, just say, look, I am not promising, I am not agreeing, but you'll do your best.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, wow. Okay, another interesting, trippy conversation.
See, it all unfolded how it needed to unfold, even though I wasn't sure how it was going to unfold.
I know, that's why I said keep going. Allison's like, no, we're going to stop it. We're going to do something else. No, we'll just go with it.
Because I didn't know how I was going to approach it.
Always do. Just trust.
Thanks, babe.
Are you happy to say goodbye to everyone?
Yes.
The Phoenix family out there?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We hope you got some insight into what we were discussing.
Bloody quirky conversation this
today about ownership. If you feel like you've been owned, or if you're going through something on that level where you feel obligated and you feel like you need to keep a promise, this is your sign to feel like if the promise is not in alignment with you, then it's okay to say no. Yeah.
Anything else?
Own your car, own your house. Own yourself, but they're the main things that,
Don't own it. Don't own anybody else.
Don't own anyone else, and don't get trapped into thinking that someone else owns you.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you for watching, listening, tuning in, everyone. It's been as I said, keep on saying it's been a quirky conversation, but I feel that it's worthwhile to express and put out there, and if it helps just one person, it's been worth it.
Yeah.
It's definitely helped me.
It's definitely helped me.
So
thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.